Compass Chiropractic, and we're doing our first Facebook Live today. I'm going to share with you my top 2 stretches to improve the function of the low back, the hip, and the legs. And so let's take a look at this. The two muscles that we're going to stretch out are the psoas muscle and the piriformis muscle. Now, if you haven't met me before, I'm down at Compass Chiropractic, which is in the southeast corner of Clive, just north of the Windsor Heights Walmart and Sam's Club. We're right across the creek from Flowerama, and we're right across the street from Mayhem Comics. And we've been here for about 10 years. We work with lots of athletes. We work with people throughout the span of life. So 4-week-old babies all the way up to people in their 90s. And so if you're out there watching this and you've been dealing with low back pain, you're gonna want to pay attention. If you know somebody else that's been dealing with low back or hip or leg pain, make sure to share this with them. And so let's jump into the explanation of how this works. So the first muscle that I'm going to show you how to stretch is the psoas muscle. And this is this muscle right here. So it's deep in your abdomen. This person's belly button would be right here. And the psoas muscle starts at the top part of the low back, and then it attaches on the inside of the upper leg. And its job is to lift the leg forward. It's a hip flexor. But what can happen is that if this muscle gets short and tight, which would happen if somebody sits too much, or let's say that they're bicycling. I'm a big bicyclist. Shout out to all the bicyclists that might be watching this. But if that muscle stays in this shortened position for a long time, then when the leg goes to straight or comes backwards, the muscle tugs and compresses these joints down in the low back. And the joints are the main cause of pain in the low back. So you have 132 joints in your spine altogether, and if these joints tip into where they're acting like a sprained ankle or a bonk on the forehead, they can push on pain receptor nerves, or they can push on these bigger nerves that come out of the spine there, and that's where you experience pain in the low back, or you have symptoms going down the leg. We got another really great example of how this psoas muscle works. So if you look here, here's the line of pull of the psoas muscle on each side. So it starts on that upper part of the low back. And this rubber band here represents a healthy psoas muscle. If the leg goes backwards, it doesn't affect the low back. But here's a tight, shortened psoas muscle. And when this person's leg goes backwards, you can see that it's going to tug right there. And then that's going to crunch and compress those joints. And they're going to be more likely to have swelling develop that then pushes on those nerves. So if you look up psoas low back pain in Google, you'll get all these articles that explain that the psoas is the top cause of ongoing low back problems. And it's missed by a lot of different doctors and providers because the person comes in and they say, oh, I get this tightness and low back pain right in here. Well, the muscle's actually on the front of the body. And so a lot of times doctors don't think about, oh, we got to address the psoas muscle. So one of the classic things for the psoas muscle would be, let's say that you go for a long drive or you sit for a long time and then you go to stand up and you just feel a tightness in the low back. That would be an example of the psoas muscle being tight and compressing those joints. If you've ever felt that after a long drive, go ahead and write yes in the comments. And yeah, we definitely are going to show you how to stretch out that psoas muscle. So the second muscle I'm going to show you how to stretch is the piriformis muscle. And so this guy's looking away from us now. And the piriformis is this little muscle deep in the butt region, but it goes from the outside of the tailbone over to the outside of the hip. And the really big deal about the piriformis is that it crosses over the sciatic nerve. And that sciatic nerve controls almost all the functions down your leg. So if we look at it here on this chart, there's that sciatic nerve, comes out of the tailbone, and that muscle that's cut right there would be the piriformis muscle. And so if that muscle there tugs on the nerve, you can end up with pulling up into the low back, or you can end up with pain, numbness, tingling, weakness down your leg. So both of those are bad. So, all right, let's jump into showing you these most effective stretches. So for the psoas muscle, we always tell people make sure to protect your knees. We don't want somebody to have an injured knee as a result of doing this stretch. But you're going to get down into a lunge position, and then the important thing is that you're going to keep your body upright, and then you're going to drive the hips forward, and we want you to feel a stretch in the lower abdomen and into the upper groin area. Now with these stretches, I do want to emphasize this being the good old United States of lawsuits, that if any of these stretches cause a more harm than good sensation, you should stop doing them. And these stretches aren't a substitute for a good exam. So if you choose to try these stretches, that you're doing that at your own risk. We would always recommend a more thorough exam before you go ahead and get started with these. But again, you drive the hips forward until you feel a stretch in this lower abdomen. And we would tell people hold that for 15 seconds, and then they could make it a little bit more intense. So go forward a little further and hold it for another 15 seconds. Now I am going to show you that if you don't feel a good stretch with that, one way to make it more intense is to lean your body away from the stretch side without letting your body go forward. So that would look like hold that stretch, and then I'm leaning my body away from the stretch, and I definitely feel a more intense stretch in that lower abdomen, upper groin area with that stretch now. So 15 seconds, a little bit further forward, another 15 seconds, and I can do that on each side. When we teach people to do that to improve the function of their back, we have them do that a couple times a day. Sherry almost bit the dust there. She tripped over our little stair there for us to teach people other hip exercises. So, all right, now for the piriformis stretch, you're going to lie back on your back, and you're going to bring the knee up, and you're going to bring the knee toward the opposite shoulder, and then you're going to reach further down the leg with this hand over here. We actually nickname this portion of your leg your lever of pain, because when you grab hold of that lower part of the leg and start to bring it around, you should feel a very good stretch deep in the butt area, and that's going to maximize that stretch into your piriformis. So again, we would have people hold that for 15 seconds, then they could pull it in a little bit tighter. Again, knee toward the opposite shoulder, lever of pain, this lower part of the leg, you bring that around, you hold that for another 15 seconds. And that's something that can be done a couple times a day. So there's two most valuable stretches to improve the function of the low back, the hip region. Make sure that these joints in here stay nice and loose. They're not being tugged and compressed by a tight psoas muscle, and that piriformis muscle isn't tugging on your sciatic nerve, causing pulling sensations up into the low back, or messing up your brain's ability to control the function of all the things down in the leg. So I hope that you really got a lot out of this discussion about the psoas and piriformis muscle, and we're going to be doing one of these Facebook Lives every week. We'll probably be doing it on Monday or Tuesday, somewhere between about noon and 2:30. So make sure to go ahead and follow our Facebook page. If you have any questions, you can write it in the comments. I'll be monitoring that and be able to get back to you. If you ever do want to come in and have a more thorough exam done, we're down here, again, southeast corner of Clive, and very easily accessible. And so just feel free to give us a call if you have a question about anything. You can also go to our website, compasschiro.com, and learn more about our office. So thanks for tuning in today.